Hey everyone, I hope you're having an amazing day. As always, welcome back. In today's video, we'll be discussing well-known motor manufacturers that build other things that you wouldn't necessarily expect. Let's get started. Even though we're mainly a motorcycle channel, and we will be focusing on motor manufacturers in this list, I'm also going to throw in some other well-known manufacturers that make a few things that are so out there, I just had to include them here. Let's start off with Yamaha. This is a pretty obvious one. As you all know, Yamaha are famous for building awesome and reliable motorcycles, and they have become one of motorcycles' biggest market leaders. However, did you know that they started off building musical instruments back in the 1880s, and are current market leaders in the music industry? Mainly known for manufacturing electric keyboards, they also produce acoustic pianos, violins, guitars, basses and amps, drum sets, brass and woodwinds. If you are the musical type, then you probably already knew that. However, they also have manufacturing facilities for IT network infrastructure, electronics, automotive interiors and sound systems. They also produce golf clubs and run a number of music schools around the globe. Fair play, Yamaha. Yamaha started manufacturing motorcycles in 1955 with the release of the YA1. They made a name for themselves in racing with this first generation motorcycle after winning a number of national races. Yamaha have been producing world-class motorcycles ever since. Kawasaki. Otherwise known as Kawasaki Heavy Industries, they are also famous for some of the fastest production motorcycles ever made. But they are also market leaders in robotics and are one of the biggest shipbuilders in Japan. Yes, that is a Kawasaki engine for a cargo ship. Just look at the size of it. Kawasaki started in 1878 as a shipbuilder, building cargo and passenger ships. They also built submarines and warships for the Japanese Navy during the First and Second World Wars. Kawasaki's defense division also manufactured fighter planes and locomotives for the war effort. Then Air Force helicopters from 1954. Kawasaki still produce commercial and military helicopters to this day. They became robotics pioneers in 1969 when they developed Japan's first industrial robot, and they continued producing and improving the robotics industry since. It was actually Kawasaki's aircraft division that started manufacturing motorcycles in the mid-1960s, and they quickly became some of the most popular motorcycles in Japan, with bikes such as the W1, W2, and later the H1. In the 1970s, Kawasaki motorcycles were starting to sell in the US. They first built a manufacturing plant in the US for production and sale of jet skis that also became popular in the North American market. Around the same time, the demand for motorcycles grew rapidly in the US, prompting Kawasaki to open a second plant in the US specifically for motorcycle production. Throughout their history, Kawasaki have been participating in a number of different industries. To this day, they are involved in construction projects, high-speed trains, commercial and heavy transport aircraft, and Japanese defense contracts. They even manufactured the tunnel boring machines that created the first underwater rail tunnel across the English Channel between Britain and France in the 1990s. So awesome. Remington. Let's move away from Japanese motorcycles for a moment to look at a very interesting company that produce things that don't seem to make sense. For most of you living in the US, you probably already know that Remington, or otherwise known as Remington Arms, are famous for manufacturing firearms and ammunition. Some of its firearms include the new Model Army revolver, the rolling block carbine, the Remington 870 shotgun, and the M24 sniper rifle, or otherwise known as the Remington 700. These are all examples of well-known firearms developed and manufactured by Remington. However, in the 1920s and 30s, Remington got involved in some very strange industries that seem very much out there for a firearms company. Inventor Christopher Scholes approached Remington about manufacturing typewriters. Yes, typewriters. Christopher and Remington are also responsible for the keyboard you are currently typing on, the QWERTY keyboard. Can you imagine the process here? A random guy called Chris comes up with an ingenious invention, so he thinks, America. And so goes to one of the biggest firearms manufacturers at the time about manufacturing a machine that prints letters by pressing round buttons on a piano-looking thingy, for them to turn around and say, alrighty then. It's almost like Remington saying, nah, guns aren't making us any money anymore, foot massagers and hair straighteners are where the big money is. Oh wait, they did. Once typewriters became popular in the late 1800s and early 1900s, Remington started producing office equipment and stationery products such as filing cabinets and punch card machines. Then, in the late 1930s, Remington entered the personal care and grooming market with their electric shavers. By the 90s, Remington were producing hair clippers, beard trimmers, nose and ear trimmers, foot massagers, makeup mirrors, blow dryers, hair curlers, and hair straighteners. Any ladies in the audience probably already have a product made by Remington, as they are now one of the market leaders in personal grooming. The company split in the 90s and are now separate entities between the personal care company and the firearms company. Unfortunately, Remington Firearms hasn't been faring all too well over recent decades. They filed for bankruptcy in 2020. The Remington personal care company is still going strong at least. That'll do for part 1 in this video series. Thanks for watching, I hope you've enjoyed it and found it as interesting as I did. Let me know in the comments section if there are any other companies you would like me to cover. As always, like, share and all the usual stuff. Thanks again for watching and for your support. We'll see you in the next video.